Hello, and welcome to Not Actually the Hydraulic Press channel, but we still have to deal with it. So if you're wondering why we suddenly have an awful lot of new things and stuff going on, the main reason for it is that this stuff here the building's made out of reinforced concrete is about the worst thing you have to craft in very large numbers. This requires an awful lot of stone, which you smelt into concrete, and iron ore, which turns into iron, which turns into steel, which turns into rebar, and concrete, which turns into this very unattractive block. I tried to find something that looked nice. All I really managed was to kind of cheat the game because it thinks a 1x2 thing is a door and a any 1x2 is either a door or a window, and it'll let you slide with that. And then this nice big awesome door here, which I can keep open and walk in and out of. Now, since I highly doubt the people that actually built this game are going to watch me, I do have a slight... You see that big red beast out there? Now, you build this table first. And then you have to build the stamping press, which is this monstrous thing that really needs some sound. Actually, all the tables could use some sound. Like the ones that don't have sound could definitely use sound. A couple of them have kind of a hammer and saw kind of sound. The butchery table makes kind of a choppy meat sound. This thing needs to make some vroom vroom and vree, and this thing needs to make a beep beep beep, crumple crumple crumple. This should make some kind of, at the very least, a sound that does this. But you make this thing, and then you make this gigantic beast, which, to tell you the truth, only accidentally fits in here. I'd forgotten how tall it was. But you make this, and then you have to make that in the same room, right? So you put this down, you build that, you put that down. You build the lathe, you put it down, you go in here, and you build the shaper. Thing is, as actually kind of awesome as this lathe looks, there's a lot of detail on this. Like this is, right? She's got all this crank, and this should move back and forth, and it's even got, it's got a little tag that tells you not to stick your hand in there. It's got all this stuff. The problem is it doesn't actually make anything. It does nothing. You have to make it to make the shaper, which makes all the stuff. This is like it even wants power when operating. It will never want power, right? It can see storage stuff. That's nice. You've got all of this stuff. Yeah, it's not in a room. That's correct. We got no tier. Everyone can use it, but the thing doesn't actually make anything. Put all this work into a very beautiful, it's even got I doubt that's an exhaust pipe because it runs on electricity. But it doesn't actually do anything. Oh, and this, you see all of this? This here that used to be the road? Yeah, this is stone road I made waiting for all the concrete to cook. Normally I film this stuff in advance. Like I'll record something and then I edit it all and I throw it up to be scheduled to go live about a week in advance. This video will go live on Sunday, September 30. It's currently almost midnight on the 29th. That's how close I'm cutting it. because that's how long it took to build all the stuff for that. Yeah, it has not been terribly fun. This is asphalt, which looks like road, right? So here in that looks like road. Don't look like road. It's also not terribly cheap either, and it's not as interesting as the stone road. And these are just mortared stone, because I made a ton of that too. Touched up the village a bit. We've got our tier 2 house. Everything's all put inside, and we are again soft capped all to hell. Right? Soft cap. We lost 11 points there, 4 points there. That kitchen's okay. Yeah, we lost points. Yeah. The thing is, to make a tier 3 house, your tier 3 materials, okay? Your tier 3 materials are all of this nonsense up here. This concrete is a tier 3 material. This is an ugly material, right? Your choices of texture are either smooth and pimply or really pimply, right? The smooth and pimply, this is actually roof texture piled up. Just because it looks less, it doesn't look as pimply as everything else, right? That's your block pimply. That's kind of a paver pimply. It's not an attractive block whatsoever. And the other tier 3 material, I'm spelling this wrong. Corrugated steel? Corrugated steel. Tier 3. Okay. Crafted at a rolling mill, which is built out of an electronic assembly line. And to make that, I have to make... What do I have to make? Let's go back to that. Corrugated steel. Crafted at a robotic assembly line. Crafted at an electronics assembly. Requires... Nope, that's the wrong button. Words. Robotic assembly line. Recipe is concrete, electric motors, servos, and steels. And it just like servo. I need fiberglass, which means I need to go over. Which means I need one of these combustion engines. You notice I made 4 because they're also used in back here. Powered cart, truck, and the generator. And the generator is the much nicer version of... And you've disappeared again. This block that would be right here, but has decided to be invisible. Also, despite the fact it burns coal, it doesn't make any pollution. Those pipes do nothing. Except make it look nice when the whole thing is here. So I need... Go away. I needed this. Do I have the rest of the stuff? I probably don't have the rest of the junk over here. Let's go here in the research hut. For our oil drilling skill book. So I need lumber and concrete. And half an hour. And half an hour! That might seem like a long time, but there was a time playing this game when some of the books required even longer. Like, I think one was like 9 hours. I need half of this. Half of this reinforced concrete. Which, like I said, is not... Go here. Right? You have pimply pavers. We have pimply stairs. Yeah, the window isn't too bad. It doesn't actually show any glass in it. Just like, stop that. Have a hole. The columns are kind of neat because they got these, like they're bolted onto the stuff. And then the roofs are kind of smooth. Not as noticeably pimply as everything else. And then the styrofoam wall. It's not an attractive... I don't know how I'm going to make a nice looking house. House. Like a house. Like I have to build, you know, a tier 3 house. Because that's one of the things we've committed to in this, is to have one of each house. I have to build a tier 3 house. I have concrete and corrugated steel. That it's going to be ugly. We're going to build the probably the ugliest. Do I have any lumber here? The ugliest modern build you've ever seen. I have 1 lumber. I should have more lumber somewhere else. Let's head up to here. You go. Let's hop in the old red truck here. And this was. This turned out to be a nice place to park my truck. This gave me a chance to do something about just kind of the ugliness of all the dirt and stuff we have up here. Head on over. More materials, more road. Truck plods on kind of slow in some spots, and then like dangerously fast in others. But it's still faster than walking. I bet you I have no lumber. I bet you I used all my lumber up. You know what? If you're going to hang up on here, you can stay right there. Yep, I bet you I have no lumber. We're cutting down trees. Well, at least my tree farm's here. I will see you in a little while once I've got enough lumber. So while we wait for the lumber to finish, again, did a little bit of decorating around here. Built a retaining wall around my tree farm. It was really just a wall of dirt. It's, here. Yeah. It was just a wall of that kind of weird nonsense the game makes when it has to make a cliff. You know, like this, overhangy bits. And I have no arrows on me, otherwise you would be dead. Over here, here's where some of my lumber and a bunch of my logs went. This was, I kept getting sick of running up here to get stuff, like food, basically. Food, and that's water. And I should. This was a bunch of coal, which was the first reason I came up here. But I just haven't filled it back in yet. And then more food. The thing is that some of this stuff, it doesn't factor into the higher end foods. Like a lot of them. Like this here, that's some nice nutrient values on it. But it's like I need some salads, add some salads and syrup. Which means I have to make syrup comes from sugar, mill a bunch of berries, done a bunch of that. I don't need anything for a while. So that's all just going to sit up there for a bit. And then when it comes to making all that steel and concrete, I had to set this up, which is where the rest of my lumber has gone. Get up here. Get up there. This place has been manufacturing charcoal. Oh, I got one more lumber up here. I could have put it down in the basement. There wasn't a lot of room for it, and it's really far away from my tree farm and sawmill. So it kind of had to come up here. However, this has resulted in some pollution. I've tried to keep down. I would say I've tried to keep down, but when we go to the map over here, you get ready for this, okay? Pollution. So air pollution is... That is... Where are you? That's something running underground. It's probably my cement kiln. No, it's my blast furnace. I'm making rivets. Here's the problem. You saw that? Here's my other problem. All of this is a spot that's supposed to be enough stone between the tops of my slag piles and the surface of the world to prevent that. But it hasn't. So I get this great big glowing wet glob. There's a little bit over here, but that usually sorts itself out. Yeah, that's not pretty at all. And we're going to wind up adding to it because the next step in stuff requires oil. Oh hey, I didn't even look at the background. All of a sudden the whole rest of the world's red in weird colors. This, how to put it, your world has like I'm not sure it has an infinite amount of oil, but it's got a lot of oil. And the light colored spots are the better places to get it. Now, I can't set up anything over here because I've got some farms there. And you'll notice the next nice spot is like the opposite side of the world. Which means I will have to drive a road out there. And running roads is not terribly fun in this game. Because that's where my oil derricks are going to be. Or I just set them somewhere else and accept slower speeds to get things. Let's check if my lumber is done. And here we go. 19 minutes left. So we're not getting to that this episode. That'll be next episode. We'll go build a nice oil refinery kind of place installation while we make even more. I think I'm still making concrete, but I need all the other gizmos to make the mill, which is going to have to go here, and that's a bunch more terraforming, which is not fun. Also, this big beautiful door doesn't open. It doesn't. It looks awesome. I really like it. I think it looks, because of the windows, it looks even nicer than these, right? It's got that kind of look. But it doesn't open. Probably because it was just recently added to the game. They haven't quite figured that part out yet. Anyway, it'll look cool when it does open. And you would look cool if you were here. Anyway. But we've got the long, slow grind to that tier 3 house. And I'm fairly certain I'm not going to have an episode on Wednesday. But we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll build an oil refinery. I don't know. But either way, we will see you in the future. I'm hoping to get back into playing some Minecraft now that we've got a bunch of people on the server, which is going to distract from this, but on the very least, I can run this in the background while I do other things. We'll see what happens, and I will see you in the future.